Hi, Gemini. Okay, so a lot of messages, a lot of energy. I want to get all the messages out. 5 of Pentacles and the Chariot. Okay, so actually the Chariot and then the 5 of Pentacles. Okay. Jupiter is moving into a space where your life path in terms of finance and how you look at money, how you look at romance in terms of money, how you look at job selection in terms of the future you see and you know that you want for yourself, that is what now becomes important to you. And as a Gemini, you're like, that is not what's important to me. I know, but now it is. I don't know. It's just weird. Like all of a sudden we're looking not for the hot boy or the hot girl or the hot person. We're looking for the wife, the husband, you know, the partner in crime, the best friend who becomes your lover. It's very adult now. And like anything that Gemini does, we do it perfectly. So if we're going to go nuts, we're going to go totally nuts. And if we're going to clean up our act, we're really going to clean up our act. Guess who else got the Wheel of Fortune? Our sister sign, Sagittarius. Ooh, ah, okay, and then we have 9 of Swords, the High Priestess, 10 of Pentacles, and 7 of Wands. Guess who else got the 7 of Wands? Ooh, ah. Okay. You have a chance to take like a High Priestess view. You have a chance to look from the High Priestess perspective on what in the past has kept you from having the 10 of Pentacles relationship. Like you've had relationships that could have been that way, but they weren't. And why weren't they? And what was the money element of that? And what role did your choices in partners play in that? Where do your priorities fall in the list of who gets blamed for you not reaching this yet? And for those of you who are here already, you may be in the throes of a deep reassessment because it's not what you signed up for. It's just not what you thought it was, and you are more than confused. You are disturbed by it. So now we have Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto together, and then it'll be, you know, Venus, and well, it's already, Venus is in Capricorn already. You are coming on a time, oh, bottom of the deck, sorry. You're coming upon a time where your choices are magic, whether they're good for you or not. And it's such a test and temptation, you know? If you have the ability to manifest whatever you want, do you run to a past that was obviously never good for you, or do you move forward? And it is a time where you can easily move backwards and fail the exam. But if you move forward, there's a lot of, there's a lot, we can talk about this when we look at the cards, but there's a lot of other things going on too, in terms of friendships and family, and there's a lot here to unpack. But ultimately, for Sagittarius and for Gemini, this month is about staying the same old you, and not just getting the same old results, but it being quite harsh, or evolving and choosing from a new place, becoming a new person, and reaping the rewards. I love you. Let's look at these cards. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to the second part of your reading. I'm glad you're getting your reading early. By the way, there's a tarp right outside the window. As you know, there's been construction on the outside of the building. So whatever their thing, the tarp on it is blowing around out there, and it's super mutable air vibes. So also, I'll be drinking water throughout. I suggest you do the same. And here we go. So we start off pretty heavy, right? It's about the rest of your life, Gemini. Not to put too much pressure on you. It's quite a lot, huh? It's quite a lot. The chariot. So let's start there. When I say it's about the rest of your life, you know what I mean. I mean the direction. Regardless of what age you are, you're at a bit of a crossroads astrologically right now. Part of that has to do with your priorities being reorganized. What you find to be compelling has changed. So many different truths on so many levels have been revealed to you, most of it having to do with loyalty. You've learned that there is a gradient to loyalty, that you can trust people up to a certain point. Following from that discussion on trust that you've been having secretly with yourself, perhaps so secretly that you're not quite consciously aware of it, but now that I'm saying it, you're thinking, yeah, well. But hey, that's not big news. Geminis are known to be non-committal, to be cagey, to have trust issues, especially if you're a Gemini moon. But this is a different kind of conversation about trust. This isn't about us fiercely protecting our freedom. No. Because that's usually where the caginess comes from, right? If we knew that we could be with just one person and trust them to give us our freedom, trusting people wouldn't be so hard. The Gemini experience, however, has been that I trust you and you start trying to tell me what to do, which makes me have to pull back, or you start doing other terrible things that you shouldn't be doing, which makes me have to pull back into a state of, for Gemini, what feels like being catatonic. Okay, so now I'm not going to react to anything. The other twin is out. And yet, look how this ends up working. You are seeing where it is, the High Priestess vibes, that you can transmute what up until now were real deficits in your personality when it comes to being in a relationship. And funnily enough, I don't mean anything that you might be quote unquote doing wrong. Instead, I mean simply that you can do so much that you overdo it. You carry so much of the load, 9 of Swords, that you overdo it. And now in Sag season, you live through these reluctant High Priestess vibes of being shown. Not because you want to get into the vibe, of being shown, look here, these are the swords. And this is where you're carrying too much and you're not letting someone else do the work they should do. See, if you're not going to let someone do the work, then you can't be upset when they don't do it. It's a double-edged sword. Sure, receptivity is where you want to be. You want to be clear on what you want to receive. But then you also got to let someone carry half the load so they have something to give back to you, so you can receive. 9 of Swords, there is not much you can get through that door. And yet, look how powerful the High Priestess energy is. Because once you embody it, however reluctantly, what you find is that a lot of what has in the past led to destructive, painful relationships can now be turned into. So it can now be turned into something really positive, 10 of Pentacles. And
not just something positive, but something that makes you feel, that fills you with a feeling of vindication. I learned. I did it. I changed. I got better. I figured it out. Now, the trap is going to be, hey, I figured it out, but now my old life really wants me back. Then what? Sag and Gemini both run the risk right now of going back to old mistakes, old habits. The funny thing about figuring out your priorities, the funny thing about figuring out where you're carrying too much of the burden or too much of the responsibility, too much of the action in a relationship, what's hilarious is knowing all of it and then choosing still to reminisce Four of Cups about a time that was truly toxic, where none of the stuff that you've now realized would go. Of course, because as soon as Gemini finds the extreme limit on one side, they want to go test the other. Oh, 10 of Pentacles, very nice. Boy, wouldn't that be great? Oh, that's what this is? Okay, that's what this feels like. Okay, got you. Let me go see what the most toxic thing on the other side would be. That sounds about right. That sounds about as toxic as it could get. Doesn't it? And there are people here who, really want to somehow make it back into your life. And I gotta tell you, the Four of Cups is not a good sign, because it means that you're going to leave just enough of the door open for that really negative, really destructive, really just in no way positive, really negative influence back into your life. Just through that small little crack of nostalgia. And as I've told Leos in the past, nostalgia is a form of depression. And as the months get colder, no joke, especially now that we have Jupiter moving into a very interesting part of our lives, the last thing you want to do is play games with your feelings. The lessons will get tougher, the rewards will get bigger. The game is longer. If you've got all your supplies and you've got your head on straight, we're good. If you don't, you have December to figure it out. Second row. Even if you're starting at 9 of Swords, no matter. Get into that High Priestess vibe and the 10 of Pentacles will meet you there. You will start to feel the 7 of Wands energy. When you get there and you start to feel like yourself, in the Sagittarius reading, what came up? The Temperance card. What comes up in the Gemini reading? The Lovers card. The symmetry of it all. And if you have Cancer placements, if you don't stop making wrong decisions just to make them and let that Wheel of Fortune give you what you want, stop sticking to miserable people out of some sense of pity. It's ridiculous, and it robs them of their dignity anyway. Cut it out. No luster diamond stuff. And if you don't know what that means, go back through the videos. You'll find it. You see what I'm saying, right? The Four of Cups seems like such an innocuous thing until you really think about what it lets back into your life, energetically, on the astral plane, in your dreams, everything. Because it's just that little tiny bit of like, I wish for something that, you know what, realistic, you're not even wishing for it. This is what I'm saying. Venus is in Capricorn. Now Jupiter's going to be in Capricorn. It's going to try you hard. It wants to know, did you really change or are you just pretending to change? Ugh. And I think the only place we really have to shore up right now is this horrible, weird ego-based addiction to past failures or past people that we feel sorry for. Some weird blend of pity and nostalgia and ego boost and I love you. Let's talk in the extended about all this. And then we'll do a new shuffle for January 2020. See you in a second.